Knowing someone's type means you automatically know everything about them. People love when you make assumptions about who they are, rather than get to know them individually. You should definitely use a person's type to stereotype them, because people are always 100% exactly like their type descriptions. If you are compatible with someone on paper based on cognitive theory, this always translates to real life compatibility. Why on earth would you want to form deeper, more meaningful connections, deeper understanding, and more fulfilling relationships when you can just use a person's very nature to try and manipulate them? Sweeping generalizations are always true and appropriate. You should always project a few terrible experiences with a certain type onto the entire type. And sarcasm here. Hello and welcome back. Today we'll be talking about some ways that MBTI can go wrong. Maybe some of the wrong assumptions people have about MBTI, maybe some of the ways it is misused. Awareness is half the battles. I find myself saying that a lot, but it's so true. That first little bit was meant to be funny, but use it as kind of a self-check, and all of us do it, so there's no shame in it. Use it as a self-check, as an awareness tool to kind of like step back and be like, where might I be doing this? Hey, let's make sure we keep our expectations and assumptions about typology in check. And so I'm going to be going over a few things about that today. Number one, there are no ironclad guarantees in typology. Typology and MBTI in particular is more about likelihoods, patterns, tendencies. It doesn't always translate to real life 100%, but it translates enough that I personally still find it extremely useful. There are certain patterns and certain behaviors and struggles with type groups as a whole. Individuality always comes first though. Just having an awareness of typology and the types can show you things to kind of look out for, be aware of likely possibilities. You should always get to know people as individuals first, of course. It sounds silly, but if you've gotten really into typology, this is very, very common. Where it does apply, and usually it applies with people more than it doesn't, it can fast forward relationships 5-10 years. It promotes really deeper understanding, and that's something that I feel like our world, our culture today is lacking in. A lot of people, especially who are not into typology, just assume that everyone thinks and perceives and decides just like we do, and that is just not the case. So yeah, when you have an awareness of this and when you apply it to real life and just kind of have an awareness of it, it can really allow you to build and nurture relationships in a way that would take much longer without typology. Number two, typology ignores a person's nurture. And nurture is a huge part about what makes somebody who they are. Nurture can include things like environment, culture, religion, family of origin. All of these things greatly affect who we are and how we act, how we process and decide. For example, ENTPs have kind of, I don't know, a stereotype for just being a little chaotic, a little people who stir up conflict a lot. That's not necessarily true. I know personally a couple of very religious ENTPs, for example. One of them even went to seminary. One of them was my Sunday school teacher, and they are not the typical ENTPs. Their nurture like really, really affected them, and it greatly affects how they behave. It greatly affects how those traits in their nature behave in real life. I've mentioned in a previous video, I'm an INFJ who's really good at math and money management. Those are two things that INFJs notoriously struggle with. And I don't know if it's because I was raised by a TE-DOM dad or if it's just some other part of my nurture that just allowed me to develop those pieces of me. But again, people as individuals, because of their nurture, can behave differently. Next, projection is a real thing, y'all, and we all do it. No one's immune from it, and it is easier to spot in others than it is within ourselves. Just open up Facebook. Facebook in general is a place for rampant projection, but I'm thinking about the MBTI groups in particular. Are y'all in any of those? I'm in a few, and it is super common for someone to be like, well, I dated this type and they're all cheaters, or I dated this particular type and they're all insecure and like accuse you of cheating even when you're not. If you read the comments, it happens too. Like on those posts, people be like, yeah, I've noticed that too. If we're being honest, like I said, we all project. The key is learning to become aware of it. Try not to make sweeping generalizations about an entire type based on a few of its most struggling members. And lastly, people vary from their type descriptions a lot. At any time in life, but particularly as you age, as you gain more life experience and sort of develop those shadow functions, whether you have an awareness of typology or not. This is just something that happens as we grow, mature, encounter and heal from traumas. We are kind of forced to develop these other pieces of ourselves. And some of the most interesting things about people to me personally is how they may like vastly differ from their type. I've seen ENFPs, they're like really good at decorating. SE is supposed to be their dead last spot. It may even cause me to like doubt their type and be like, are they a sensor? And I've pinned them as an intuitive. We should get to know people as individuals and not kind of box them into their type. I think is there like a documentary on personality type? I can't remember what it's called, but people started sending me Instagram messages about it on my Instagram account. Y'all can follow me there. I'll put it on the screen. Where it was used as like a way to manipulate people, as a way to discriminate against people. That's not how I think it should be used. I'm an idealist, y'all. I like people to feel good. I want it to be used as a tool for growth, for self-reflection, or as I've said in previous videos, I like using it as a way to bring some concrete language to very abstract concepts. I think it's helpful for personal development and personal growth. And like I said, awareness is half the battle, and personality science has been a great tool of awareness for myself personally. Have you witnessed MBTI gone wrong? If you have any funny stories or anecdotes or maybe mistakes that you've made in the past, leave me a comment below. I would love to hear your experience. Also, if you differ from your type description in some glaring way, I would love to hear about that too. Those things are always super interesting to me. Well, hopefully you learned something today. Maybe got a little chuckle at the top of the video. If you did, if you liked this video or if you learned something, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more videos on creativity, personal development, and intentional living. Thank you again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.